Okay, so here we are at Pine Ridge Campground in Roebuck, South Carolina. That's it. Back there, we're at my house, sort of in front of my house, looking down the hill. So this time we're going to talk mostly about building a campground. Uh, I didn't build this one, obviously. It was already here, but we added 28 sites about 2 years ago. So I know a little about building. This is not going to be step one, step two, step three. I'm not doing that because it's going to be different for other people. I give you the important stuff, things you need to do for sure, and things you need to look into, and maybe some resources that you hadn't thought of that are out there to help you. It's a big decision to make, building one. Back when we bought this, I've had a lot of people ask about, hey, I got land, I'd like to build one. And back in the day, I was like, man, I don't know, that's scary, because nobody knows you're there. There's no website, there's no reviews, nothing, and you're going to start from scratch and put all this money into something, and you got to have enough money to build it and live off of. If you are trying to, do it all at one time, if you're doing it as you're still doing your job, maybe that works. But if you're just jumping in and say, I'm going to build a campground and he's going to make it work, better hope somebody shows up. Early on, that would have been my, nah, I don't think that's a smart move, just because I didn't know. I've been doing it long enough now. The need is there with COVID, no matter, what your opinion of it is. I'm not going to get political. No matter what your opinion is, it has affected the camping industry greatly. Camping is booming right now. People bought campers like it was a life raft almost. It's crazy. They were flying off the shelf. So all these people bought campers, therefore they need a place to camp. There's only so many campgrounds in the United States, and of those, there's only so many that fit the traditional campground mold. I mean, there's state parks, there's national parks, there's those things, but and those are good too. I'm not promoting one thing over the other. This is a privately owned campground, but people are looking for places to stay, and they're just not enough. Not when you think most people can go on the weekend. Well, or we're full on the weekends a lot of times. Next 3 weeks out, I think we're pretty much full every weekend. So you got to start planning ahead. So building one is you can get it done and get your name out there. You're going to do well, I think. I know of three, let me get my story straight. I know of three people that built them. One was a while back. They're doing really well. The latest two have been in the last 3 years or so, and they're both doing well. And then there's a big corporate park down at Myrtle Beach that I know of. That's at a different level. They had more money than I could dream of to make their place. So it's not even the same. Oh, another one. There's one in the mountains. I don't have it written down. So, but anyway, there's still a lot of need. Building would entail having a piece of property, making sure they'll let you build a campground. Just because you have a piece of property somewhere does not mean they will let you build a campground on it. You better talk to somebody first before you spend a whole lot of money, because there's a guy up the road that was going to build one in a town, say 20 miles from here, and sort of lined things up, thought he was good, talked to the county. They were sort of on board. Got a little farther down and said, nope, sorry, we've had a lot of opposition. We're not going to let you build. So better be sure. You may have a piece of property. You may jump a piece of property thinking this is going to work, and they won't let you build there. So you need to know that information before you go too far. There's a lot of options, as far as building campgrounds. It depends on what you want it to be. Like my new section, the 28 sites we built were mostly for monthly, to free up more sites down here for camping. But in our area, monthly is big. I don't want permanent. I don't want forever. But like traveling nurses, people doing a construction job for 6 months, people relocating from up north, sold their house, buying a new house in between, need a place for a while. All kind of reasons. Some you don't even think about, but there's a need for those certain places. If you're going to do something like I have behind me, then you're going to have to look at adding a pool. Not necessarily, but that's a nice thing to have. Bathhouses, laundry facilities, playgrounds, a pond if there's not one there. Some type of water feature is always nice. Not a have to have, but it's nice. cabins if you're into those things. Everybody has a camper, so that gives an option. Or you do tent camping, or you do pull-through sites, buddy sites. A lot of different things to think about if you're building, and it all depends on maybe you start small, 20, 30 sites, get those up and running, and then as they start making a little bit of money, then you start expanding. That's probably a better way of doing it, as long as you have enough land and you can keep expanding. That may go back to your the government. Are they going to let you keep adding sites, or do you need to do it all at one time in case they change their mind? That's a toughie. So how do you do that? How do you get that information? How do you figure out how to do all those kind of things? Where do you look to start getting plans, that kind of stuff? Well, if you're going to build, you're either going to figure it out on your own, do it on your own, or you're going to want some help. If you want help, help comes at a price. There's at least two options that I'm aware of to get help. That has become a franchise. KOA and Jellystone, both, big franchises. Their website, they have a place where you can learn about building a campground under them with their brand per se. They require, a franchise fee plus a amount of money that you need to be able to get hold of. So it's like they want you to have $1 million both. But this is both $1 million for assets, 500,000 liquid. KOA wants you to already have 10 acres of land. Jellystone, 30 acres of land. KOA wants you to build like 75 sites. Jellystone, like I think 125. You can look at the websites and get the exact numbers. I'm pretty sure those are all right so far. They will help with design. They will help, signage, training, those kind of things. I think they both have a reservation software already, so you can use their reservation software, which is nice. Probably help with websites and all those things. You're going to have to come up with the money. You're going to have to come up with a builder. You're going to have to come up with, the loan if you need a loan. They're not going to do that for you. But they've built a lot of campgrounds, or had a lot of them built, or had people build campgrounds using their ideas, and so they've got a lot of information and plans. Their plans ought to be pretty good. If you choose to do it on your own, you can do it cheaper. Do you have to spend that kind of money? No, because you don't have to build a 75 site campground. You can build a 25 site campground. You don't have to build a pool, where you would at those places. I think so. There's ways of cutting that money down. If you're doing it on your own, there's no requirement of what kind of money you have to have available to you, except for what the bank requires. So all those things would save you a considerable amount of money. The problem is you're figuring it out on your own. So how do you do that? How do you design a campground without anybody helping you? Well, you can go to a civil engineer, is what we did. But with that being said, most civil engineers don't design campgrounds. You may find one that specializes in it. We didn't do that. But what we did do, there's a association, ARVC, ARVC. It's the Association of RV Parks and Campgrounds, which we are a member of through CARVC, the Carolinas Association of RV Parks and Campgrounds, that has a standard. It's a NFPA. I don't know where I got that last. NFPA, sorry. It has a standard, the NFPA 1194, which is the standard for recreational vehicle parks and campgrounds. Now, this is the 2014 edition. I believe they have a 2020 edition now, so a few changes have been made. This has things like, what a site should look like, a back inside a pull-through site, how long it needs to be, how wide, radiuses in and out, where your water needs to be on that site, where your sewer needs to be, where your electric panel needs to be, those kind of things. It also has, how many, if you're going to have a bathhouse, what you need to have if all your campers aren't self-contained, how many showers do you need, how many stalls do you need, that kind of thing. Something to take to your county to say, here's what we're following. This is the standard we're going to follow to build our campground. It's not a bad thing to have. They sort of know what to expect. Your engineer, he would like to have this because it tells him all this information he probably doesn't know. It also has information about water usage, which is a biggie. Sewage, the dirty subject, has to go somewhere, And if you go to your planning commission or whatever, and you say, I want to build a campground, unless they're very familiar with campgrounds, they're going to say, okay, campground, that's sort of like a mobile home park. We know how much sewage a mobile home park needs. That's what we're going to put you under. Well, that's wrong. Campers don't use anywhere near as much water as a mobile home does. So this tells you that. That will save you a lot of money. Pass on to your civil engineer, to maybe draw up your plans. With that being said, I gave my book to my engineer when we added the sites up here. Did he follow it to the letter? I think he did. Did everything turn out exactly like I liked? Nope. So if you have those skills of reading those things and looking, and your brain works where you can say, okay, well, I can look at this picture and I can see this needs to be turned more, or this needs to have a little more space, or these sites are too tight, or whatever. You can, you may have that skill and you can say, okay, I need to fix these. I didn't really have that. Everything's working. We had some hiccups where our land had a lot of rock and we had to get a track hoe to rip it out, which is another thing, cost. You start thinking I got this much money to spend. I budget this. Well, better have some extra. We ran into rock and had to get a track hoe with a ripper, just a big finger, just to yank rocks out to make room for ditches to get our sewer water and electric through. We also ran into our county requires to have a fire hydrant. Well, the water, I was hoping, okay, we'll put it on the side of the road where the water is. We'll pay for it over there. It's across the street, but that will work. Nope, it's got to be on my property. So we had to pay to get a fire hydrant installed across the road, which was $30,000. Not what I wanted to spend. It doesn't make my campground worth any more. May have helped my insurance. Planning on $30,000 for a fire hydrant, I hadn't done that. So those kind of things will get you. So that's a little bit on building. Like I said, I'm not going to give you every step of the way. If you have some questions, you can put them in the comment box, and I'll try to answer what I can. I'm not a note taker or a itemizer. So like I said, I'm not a business guy. So I don't know that I can give you numbers. I can maybe point you in a direction. I'm fairly free with my information if I can be. This is more or less, there's some places to look. Here's some information to check into. So that's a starting point. I'll be glad to answer questions in the comments if I can. It may be that I'll say, hey, that's almost a new video, and I hadn't thought about that. I'll make a video about that. I hope this helped a little bit. It's a great industry. We need new campgrounds. I can't take care of everybody, so join up. If you like this one and think it's worthwhile, hit the subscribe button, I guess is what it is. Alerts or however. I've heard it so many times, I ought to know how to say those things, but I don't really. But if you watch them, you'll figure it out. They'll be up here, down there, wherever it is. Thanks for watching, and I hope you feel it's worth looking into.